Vice Chairman, the Vice Chancellor, Sunyani Technical University, to moderate this session. Thank you. Shall we welcome him with an applause? Thank you.
Thank you very much, MC. Good afternoon to you all, and welcome back. We want to begin the keynote speeches, and the first keynote speaker is Dr. Fred Kyei Asamoah, Director General of Commission for Technical and Vocational Education and Training, CTVET, Ghana. So we will read the profile of Dr. Asamoah. Dr. Fred Kyei Asamoah is the Director General of the Commission for Technical and Vocational Education and Training, CTVET. He is a pharmaceutical expert with a proven track record in achieving results in drug design, public health, regulatory compliance and enforcement, policy planning and implementation, monitoring and evaluation, corporate governance, and strategic management. Dr. Asamoah has provided training strategies and performance coaching techniques that has featured in many development organizations across continents. Since becoming the Director General of the Commission for TVET, Dr. Asamoah has exhibited a high level of dedication to TVET development in the country. He was part of the team that developed a 5-year strategic plan to restructure TVET delivery in Ghana and align it with government's vision of using TVET as a tool for job creation, industrial development, and economic growth. That is our expert. So shall we, with a clap offering, invite Dr. Kyei Asamoah to the podium for him to give his keynote address.
Good afternoon to you all. Thank you very much, Prof. Adinkra. Please permit me to proceed based on the protocols that were established in the first part of today's conference. I'm excited and happy to be associated with this year's Association of Technical Universities and Polytechnics in Africa's conference. And let me also take this opportunity to thank the leadership of ATUPA for the award. I'm really excited about it, and I believe it has motivated us to do more than we have achieved already. The Commission for TVET is glad that our technical universities and their colleagues across the continent have come to form this association to address a very critical concern in the TVET ecosystem and also undertake programs that will lead to an enhancement of our TVET sector as well as skill development. In countries around the continent, as we know, they have a clear demarcation between the grammar education and the applied side. A majority of them in the advanced nations are working on improving and increase their numbers for their applied side. And I think it's in order that we in Africa do not do different. Sometimes it's very difficult to reinvent the wheel. And there's a saying that copying is not stealing. So how do we copy and improve of it? Other continents have copied and they've improved on it, and they are producing for the African continent. That is why I was intrigued when I came across the theme for this conference, which is mainstreaming TVET for skills development, mobility, and resilient economies in Africa. This is because this theme aligns very well with one of the key goals of this country, which is transforming Ghana's labor force to enhance productivity and employment. So participating in a conference that is very much in sync with the key drivers of skill development and TVET is very gratifying to me, and I believe that this is the case for several stakeholders in the landscape. Madam Chairperson, I've been asked to talk on the topic or speak about the topic, the roadmap for change, prospects and challenges. And I'm glad that the Commission for TVET in Ghana is already working towards that change. That it has been doing through a strategic plan for TVET transformation. The Commission, on its part in enhancing opportunities in the TVET sector, have implemented several strategies under the Ghana TVET transformation agenda, which covered the provision of equitable access and gender mainstreaming in TVET, providing quality assurance in TVET according to internationally accepted standards, establishing a Ghana Skill Development Fund to support TVET financing, and integrating greening philosophies in TVET for environmental sustainability. In African countries, especially where we are used to centralization of institutions and processes, a marketplace that creates demand for training is unknown. And it's very difficult in Africa to be able to tell how many skilled workers do we have in a projected sector. And many a times, even though we are in the process of changing it, many a times programs are just put up for putting sake, and sometimes to generate some funds to support the institution. The practice has been for governments to lead training in skills, with the content of training being determined not only by governments, but sometimes by only academia as well. And all of this is mostly independent of the demands of industry. This system uses curriculum created by academics with little or no understanding of industry requirements for training. But a trip to Canada shows that most of our technical or applied tertiary institutions strike off programs that industry doesn't need. What are we doing in Africa? This has been one of our biggest pains for a very long time and has led to a situation where there is a mismatch between skills demand by industry and skills being supplied by the academia. In Ghana, at least this year, we have close to 143,000 learners in the tertiary side that will be going for their national service. The question is, which industry do they align with? In most African countries, the sad truth is that educators and industry operate in different worlds and often have little contact with each other. And my vice chancellors will attest, I've just embarked on an industrial visit, and even with the industries within the country, there isn't that close collaboration between the local industries and the academics. How much more can we start thinking of international industries? Our attempts to adopt the competency-based training approach, which must be industry-led, have been constrained by the traditions of time-based education orientation of the mainstream education system. To arrest the trend, Madam Chairperson, TVET needs to be given a separate pathway to develop independently with its peculiar requirements and processes, but allowing both vertical and horizontal movement. Nations of the world are confronted with the challenges to improve the capacities of their workforce to respond to their own national development needs and the demands of a rapidly changing, more globally competitive world. The nation must adopt strategies for enhancing industrial development through technical and vocational education. This must include, but not limited to, review of curriculum, provision of well-equipped workshops, laboratories, proper funding, as well as training and retraining of our instructors and ensuring that learning is improved. The training institution for TVET must have adequate opportunities for practical training in both the formal and informal sectors of the country. Without a strong linkage between industry and the technical and vocational education sector, a large percentage of students who are admitted into TVET institutions and technical and vocational universities are unable to acquire the relevant practical skills they need to perform well in industry. Ladies and gentlemen, the past few years has witnessed incredible and rapid transformation in the industrial landscape of the world, and everybody is talking about the fourth industrial revolution. The sad truth is that the feat has already started. Where is Africa? The continent with the largest youthful population. This has resulted in a dramatic shift from the agrarian and industrial eras to knowledge-based, accompanied by equally dramatic changes in the nature and the structure of work. Forces include the progressive globalization of trade and communications, technological advances that encourage constant and rapid change in economic and social life, and demographic changes resulting from improvement in health and social conditions. So, when I'm asked, what is the roadmap for change? My simple and easiest answer is that TVET begins with industry and it ends with industry. The symbiotic relationship between TVET institutions and industry have been paramount importance of equality in TVET and provision of relevantly skilled manpower for the world of work. Let me supply key reasons for my assertion. The first is that industry is the primary consumer of TVET graduates. They are the off-takers. Industry participation in TVET, curriculum, and workplace training opportunities is the primary way of achieving this. If employers are not involved in the process of the specific skill, attitude, and behaviors required by graduates, they are less likely to see any relevance between TVET and their skill needs. The outputs of the TVET institutions are the inputs of the industries. Therefore, TVET institutions must have close linkage with the world of work to facilitate support of industry for the enhancement of practical training through placement of trainees on the work experience attachment and exchange programs for the instructional staff of the institution. Secondly, TVET is costly. In fact, we used to say it's 3 to 4 times, but now it looks like it's 4 to 5 times. It usually costs so much that most African countries tend to shy away from TVET and they turn their way to grammar education. Thus, if we can create a strong linkage between industry and academia, that is between demand and supply, then part of the training cost can be borne by industry, as is the practice in most countries like America, China, we just heard, Finland, the Netherlands, and especially in the entire Europe. Finally, we live in an age where technologies change faster and faster and faster as time passes by. Technology is evolving so fast because of a phenomenon known as accelerating change. Each technological improvement can create the next stronger generations of technology at a faster rate. As each generation of technology is better than the last, it builds new technology faster. In academic education, curriculum is relatively stable. In TVET, for example, if we are not careful, we can have a 3-year-old curriculum which may be teaching the history of technology and not the skills currently required by industry. Constant feedback from industry is the primary input to updating curriculum, along with graduate input on the relevance of their institution learned skills to perform requirements of the industry. There are different models working in this regard in different countries in establishing the relationship between the industry and our academic institutions. But some studies reveal that motivation and initiatives are the main factors to create congenial environment rather than finance. The importance of industry linkage to cooperation is massive, and the following are areas worthy to be noted. 1, markets or labor market study, community profiling, opportunity analysis, and partnership. 2, curriculum development according to market scan findings. 3, industrial attachment, or what we normally call workplace experience learning. 4, enterprise formation. 5, review and update to find out effectiveness and the strength of the above 4 steps. Then, of course, monitoring the quality of our training and giving a feedback. And this, we believe, can end in job placement and skills competition innovation and new products for the nation or for the African continent. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I would suggest that in addition to whatever institutional arrangements may exist within your various institutions, there should also be a job placement committees established within the various TVET institutions and universities, and not just appointment of a single individual as industrial liaison officers. And this, I'm talking from evidence within the country, and I believe same may exist in other African countries. These committees should have specific responsibilities designed to have an effective approach towards building good relations with the employing organizations and industry, with the university or the technical institute. These committees need to be established to enthusiastically work in assisting the trainee for job search and also keeping contact with the employers. A regular mechanism may be developed to collect the impression of the employers, their suggestions, recommendations, and criticisms on the quality of our training. Regular visits of the management and instructional staff to industry is another effective approach in upgrading the course and equipment with the latest technology. We most of the time leave out the informal sector, but we all attest that in Africa, we have close to about 80% informal sector. Growing unemployment in most African countries has forced large numbers of the youth to pursue employment in the informal sector, mostly through self-employment or entrepreneurship. It is not surprising that in most African countries, over 80% of the workers are in the informal sector. They are either engaged in agriculture as peasant farmers or in urban informal economies activities such as selling on the street, where low and unpredictable earnings, poor working conditions, and low productivity are pervasive. In most places, 3 out of 4 workers are employed in the informal sector. The high rates of informality are largely due to, or in part, to the upsurge in labor supply compared to the limited pace of job demand in Africa's formal sector. Moreover, the typical educational standard in most developing countries is inadequate in equipping the youth with the requisite knowledge and skills needed for the workforce. That is, poor alignment of educational curricula to labor market demand. Further, limiting their access to employment opportunities. The consequence is youth unemployment, underemployment, and limited capacity in terms of know-how for how to explore other viable livelihoods, such as self-employment. Despite the potential of the informal sector for employment, there is always the debate of formalizing the informal activities due to unregulated nature. Bringing informal sector activities under a regulatory environment, among others, increases fiscal revenues to the state and facilitates access to formal financial services, which is necessary for business upscaling to enhance job creation and consequently growth. As part of the transformational agenda of the government of Ghana, for example, to ensure that the youth have alternative pathways to education and skills training, apprenticeship has been adopted as one avenue for skill development. The need, therefore, to ensure that apprenticeship is demand-driven, standardized, quality assured, coordinated, and regulated has been one of the key priorities of the Ministry of Education. It is in light of this that the Ministry, through the Commission for TVET, developed the National Apprenticeship Policy. This policy was very timely towards a framework for revitalizing quality apprenticeship in Ghana. This policy, Madam Chairperson, is in line with many interventions of government to promote skills and to improve the productivity and competitiveness of Ghana's skills workforce. The implementation of this policy will contribute to the creation of opportunities for increased female participation in skill development and entrepreneurship, and also prepare the youth for gainful employment. The National Apprenticeship Policy aligns with the wider policy framework of the Education Sector Plan of the country, which is 2018 to 2020, and the Strategic Plan for TVET, which just ended. I'm happy to say that the country is working on its next 5-year strategic plan for TVET 2024 to 2028. The roadmap for change is to focus on TVET. Our TVET system should be viewed as an open learning system geared towards the preparation of individuals for the world of work. In general, TVET in Africa should be viewed as the alternative to general academic education. And the President of the Republic has as a long-term vision for this country that 50% of our learners should opt for TVET as their first choice and not as their second choice. Those who have had no or previous schooling to make them more productive in primary and non-primary economic activities. Early school leavers who for various reasons could not complete basic or senior high school should opt for TVET. Operators in the large informal sector, which needs to be transformed through various forms of skills upgrading and enterprise development programs. Formal sector workers who need skill upgrading through short, focused, work-oriented courses and programs. Those who have completed junior and senior high schools and need to acquire skills in various skills to enter the world of work. And obviously, tertiary level graduates who need to acquire workforce skills to complement their academic education. Based on this new vision for TVET provision, some major decisions and actions need to be taken for the governance of TVET. And in this country, the government decided to realign TVET to one ministry, as our Honorable Minister stated. Government has also established a commission for TVET to ensure regulation and promotion of TVET both at the pre-tertiary level and the tertiary level, formal and informal sector. Has established a TVET service that will ensure delivery at the pre-tertiary level. And in addition to the 10 technical universities, has established another skill training and entrepreneur development university to ensure continuous supply of instructors and facilitators for the TVET sectors. To promote the industry-institution linkage, we are ensuring that any TVET policy that is developed will have some provision in regard to expedite the modalities of the relationship between institutions and industry, like we see in Germany, the dual system. It's because of this that the country has established what we call the sector skill bodies, and we are through with 12 of them. TVET, when approached holistically, has its policies and practice in assisting all-round development of an individual and preparing them for more active participation in society, paving the way for greater stability, harmony, and inclusiveness, thus empowering individuals. This has become collectively the responsibility of the state, parents, industry, the productive sectors, and learners or peoples themselves. And that was among the reasons for which the government of Ghana implemented a couple of strategies, like the establishment of sector skill bodies, realignment of TVET institutions to the Ministry of Education, operationalization of the Commission for TVET and the TVET service, establishing the Akintinapia Minka University, strengthening our training in agric, building capacity for regulation and assessment, conducting skill gap analysis, profiling and need assessing all institutions, implementing what we call recognition of prior learning, making sure more institutions are established to accommodate the increasing number of enrollment in TVET, but not living out greening philosophies because our world is changing. Madam Chairperson, in implementing the above strategies, the Commission for TVET through the Ministry of Education has been working closely with all our technical universities in Ghana. And we are moving to the next step to work very close with industry. Our technical universities have seen lots of infrastructural upgrade and equipment support, especially in the engineering department. And we hope to extend it to the other departments. Some of the TUs have also been part of the Ghana Skill Development Fund, but not all of them, because most of the time their demand is supply, but not demand-driven. We have the opportunity now to help shape the fortunes of Africa and Ghana through TVET and skill development. So I indulge you all to keep up the spirit and continue to work together to achieve your common goal, as you also work to support one another in your individual projects and aspirations. You cannot succeed as one country in Africa, but as one continent. TVET is a powerful tool that provides access to decent work for all, provides lifelong learning opportunities, and supports the country's development agenda. Utilizing Africa's growing youth population, therefore, comes with developing their technical and vocational skills in order to respond to the different types of industry needs. Most fundamental to this is about changing the mindset of the TVET sector and giving them confidence. If the sector is to meet the increasing demand of the global labor market, it needs to undergo a major transformation by becoming more efficient and collaborative. As we are aware, we have embarked on a massive transformation journey, and let's all be glad that we are part of the story as we continue to play our role very effectively in this transformation agenda. I wish the conference a successful one. Long live ATUPA, long live TVET. Thank you very much.